Back here on the Meltdown with another spoiler review. We just went and saw the new 20th Century Studios release of The First Omen, and we're here to talk all about it on its opening weekend. If you haven't seen the movie, maybe you want to go see it first, come back, check out this spoiler review, but we're going to be getting into all of the gory details. I promise you that. I am Tim Melton. That is Tyler Johns. We are featured on the Meltdown daily at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Tyler, this was a film that both of us were a little hesitant in going in about, couldn't drum up a lot of excitement because we'd just seen a movie like this a couple of weeks ago in Immaculate. Those two movies are going to be compared constantly, and I think that that's fair because it follows a lot of the same beats, a lot of the same plot points, and it also features
side characters
and a lot of creepy nuns too.
Lots of creepy nuns. I never thought we'd be in a time where if you wanted to go see a horror movie, you actually have a choice of which creepy nun horror movie you want to see.
That is accurate, 100%. I think this is, in my opinion, the superior creepy nun film. I saw both of these movies in the same week. I missed Immaculate when it first came out. I went and saw Late Night with the Devil instead, and I finally caught up on Immaculate. Really enjoyed that movie. Gave it a 4 out of 5, and this movie, I think, is even slightly better than Immaculate. This movie, it's a disturbing film, Tyler. That's the simplest way I'm going to put it.
I can't believe they showed what they showed.
Same here. I am shocked they got away with putting what they did on the screen. And that was one of the major discussion points going in. A specific shot in a birthing sequence resulted in the Motion Picture Association registering the film with an NC-17 rating classification, which we know no film wants because you get that NC-17, all of a sudden nobody's going to see your movie. Producer Keith Levin said, quote, "We had to go back and forth with the ratings board 5 times. Weirdly, avoiding the NC-17 made it more intense." I agree with that. I was not prepared for the amount of body horror that takes place in this and how effective and creepy and disgusting and disturbing all of it was.
Grotesque.
I mean,
gruesome.
Easiest way to put it.
Every word.
What was your favorite part about this movie? What worked for you the best?
Oh, gosh. I think the body horror, as well as the Final Destination classic Omen-style deaths, those always work for me. What didn't necessarily work for me as much as I thought it would be the ties into the original.
Oh, you had just watched the original,
yeah,
starring Gregory Peck before going into this, and it didn't heighten it for you? Because the last act of this film, it's a complete tie-in.
Oh, yeah, it heightened it, I would say, but it also makes you go, wait, I thought it happened differently in the original, and here's where we could start delving into spoilers, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
So, in the first Omen, Damien's father is a jackal.
In the First Omen.
Okay, wait, my bad.
See, that's going to catch a lot of people right there, The First Omen, because that's what this movie's called.
In the First Omen, released in 2024.
Yes, there we go.
It's revealed that Damien's father was of a jackal. But in the original, I seem to remember the mother's skeleton when Gregory Peck and the reporter go to the cemetery, finding the mother being a jackal and the father being the Antichrist.
Does it really tie in all together? I don't know if that has been something.
Reboot?
I don't think it is. I think it's very much a prequel that may not add up with a couple of pieces. We see that. Making those pieces connect that many years later. That original film came out in 1976. We're talking about 40 years later in this situation. And I don't think that that's necessarily an easy thing to be able to piece together every single detail. So that's a good catch there by you, Tyler. That may be one thing that actually it seems like took you out of the movie, that it didn't maybe line up as perfect as you had hoped.
Yeah, because with most horror prequels, I think you would agree with me in saying they answer a lot of questions that were never answered. This seemed to build on the lore very well for in the Omen continuity, and then it just breaks it. That one little thing, and they could have had it. They could have knocked it out of the park, but
who knows? Maybe there'll be a sequel to this that...
It definitely looked like it was heading that way.
I mean, you could say that, but they used Gregory Peck's photo in this. I think this is going to be a one-off. We'll have to see. The word of mouth on this is going to be strong, I think. I think audiences are going to be, if they go in with the mindset that this is something I want to watch in the first place, I think it's going to deliver for them. The imagery itself of the jackal and the things in which the jackal participates in, and the nuns and the priests, and it's truly a horrific telling of a story here that no one really expected to be told. This was a movie that cost about $30 million to produce, so it's a relatively low-risk film, and horror movies are hot these days. We've got so many options right now.
Oh, yeah.
And last I checked, it's the month of April. We're not even in the Halloween season. It has been a good time to be a fan of horror movies. Let's talk a little bit about maybe the 70s aesthetic and whether the look of this film is something that aided it. Because in my opinion, it put it over the top that they were so committed to making this look like an early 70s film. I thought the look came across great.
I agree with you. It had that color palette. It had the costuming. Just everything felt 70s to me, and it felt like it could easily be a prequel to the 1976 Omen.
This is the fifth Omen movie to come out. It's been 18 years since we got that 2006 remake with Liev Schreiber and Julia Stiles. I really adored that movie watching it back in 2006. I loved it. I don't know how many more times we can pull the whole "it's all for you" while jumping off of things, but you get a taste of that flavor as well in this. This is a disturbing movie, rightfully so. It's called The First Omen. People, I think, know what they are lined up for. One of my favorite sequences, and may by the end of the year be one of my top 5 opening sequences of any film released this year. Maybe my top 3, maybe even number 1. Charles Dance and the Final Destination death, you call it, with that glass painting basically falling off of the cathedral and onto his head, and you think he's okay. I knew he wasn't, but you think he's okay. He takes a couple walks, the way it was shot, the slow reveal, and that gash, and then that bloody grimace set the tone for this movie right off the bat perfectly, I thought. And that imagery is going to stick with me for a little while. I thought it was really effective, and I think Charles Dance is a wonderful actor. I love him, obviously from Game of Thrones, but also from Last Action Hero. He was fantastic in his brief appearance in this movie, but very, very disturbing one and a very effective one.
Oh, yes. The imagery in this will definitely stick with me. I thought there were plenty of jump scares in this movie, but it also had something that I don't feel like a lot of horror movies have now, which is that genuine sense of paranoia that sticks with you well after you're gone from the theater.
What's your final thoughts and final grade here? Anything else you want to get off your chest about The First Omen?
Sound design. I have to mention that there are these whispers that when you're in the theater, you can kind of hear them behind you and to the side, and that only increases that feeling of dread and paranoia, and it makes it really immersive. I thought it was one of the standouts of the movie for me.
It was very reminiscent of what we got in Insidious, the first Insidious movie. It felt
similar.
that exact same way to me.
I agree with you. Overall, I would say the cinematography looks pretty slick. There's some really good-looking shots with, is it Margaret?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes. Can't believe I almost forgot the main character's name.
No, you're good. The names in this really, main girl is what you need to know.
So, main girl laying down, her hair's everywhere. It's that slow pull out. It looked beautiful.
Yeah, I think it is a good-looking movie. What would you give it for your final grade? Out of 5.
I need to see this again while pushing Immaculate completely from my brain. I think that only hurts this movie. But overall, I'd say 4 out of 5. It could potentially go up to 4.5 out of 5 upon rewatches. I see this having a very high ceiling and staying power.
I agree with you. I'm at a 4 out of 5 right now. Some of the sound design didn't work for me quite as much, but it was a very disturbing film. It delivers on that premise, and I think it's a solid 4 out of 5. I think there are a couple of logical issues, like why are you going to hand Damien back to Margaret after she's proven she'll go to any lengths to destroy Damien? That didn't make a lot of sense to me at the end, but overall, solid 4 out of 5. Very scary movie. One of my favorite horror movies of the year so far. Right now in that number 2 position. We'll see how it adds up at the end of the year. Speaking of adding things up, you can do that with your bankroll at mybookie.ag. Bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. Use promo code NEXTROUND for a first-time deposit bonus. Cash out and win, or let it ride at MyBookie. Bet and play absolutely anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Tyler, this has been a lot of fun. I look forward to us doing more reviews here in the future on The Meltdown. Always a good time.
Oh yeah, I look forward to it too, and I look forward to more segues from you.
Oh gosh, I'm working on that, trying to become
That
the
was
master.
solid. It was
You
a
think
solid,
so?
Yeah, I agree.
I
Solid
appreciate
segue.
that. I will be back with you very soon on a live edition of The Meltdown, live at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for joining us.